the opportunity to have your metadata mined by the NSA or any other corporation is altogether too easy and too prevalent when dealing with things like Facebook or YouTube. I had only just recently finished a very serious fight with hackers from the opposition. By the opposition, I mean the right wing, because those lines are too often blurred, mixed, or the difference is altogether non-existent. I suffered heavy losses at their hands, but none of them were sufficient enough for me to apologize for my morals, ethics, or principles. I was there in the beginning when Anonymous was just a concept, when to suggest anything that went against the government narrative was considered instant treason. To uphold, represent, and protect the Constitution of the United States. And that Constitution had nothing to do with a police state. Just because you don't consider somebody your enemy doesn't mean that they don't consider you an enemy. And if they're paranoid and they're dangerous and they're numerous enough, they can hurt you. And if they're operating, however falsely, under the guise of law and order, then those abusers won't stop at anything. And they'll have the resources of an entire state at their disposal. Anyone in law enforcement or the military, when it's all said and done, regardless of anything they threaten you with, whether it be an NJP or a court-martial or extra duty, detachments come and go, deployments come and go, NCOs and officers, they come and go, and you look back on your life, you don't want those regrets. Not on the account of some pushy jerk-off with a big mouth who you didn't like anyway. You do what you have to do, but you know where the dividing line is, and you know what's at stake. Be anonymous. It means you cannot be identified. If you put on the mask, they may consider you a threat. It means that they can go after you. And we don't need or want that to happen. Don't use your real name. The fact is that they have more than enough technology to track down your information. And they have many, many tricks to be able to identify you. How do we wage a revolution without breaking laws? You're not using your head. You're not using your imagination. We are innovators. This is our strength. Laws are like this. A lot of them are set up to intimidate, to threaten you, to goad you into a response, so that you'll attack exactly where they want you to attack. A lot of the societal structures that exist today have existed since Roman times, and that's who you're dealing with. That's how you have to think of them. They're antiquated and repetitive, but they're effective. If they come after, they'll have to expose themselves for what they are. They are criminals. They're not interested in the law. They're not interested in enforcing the law. They're not interested in people who are breaking the law. They're interested in anyone who opposes them. When you take that away, their naked violence will be seen for what it is. Oppression, violence, a police state. They will not care that you're out to do the right thing, that you're out to change society for the better. They'll just see you as a target. By your conscience. We don't know who you are. And it's important that it stay that way. By being anonymous, we have no information to give them. We will never have a leader. Trying to organize or be very, very careful. Because the FBI, the NSA, the DHS, the CIA, they all have hired professional trolls who will and have pretended to be members of Anonymous. You should be doing research into who is genuinely evil and go after them. We are, by and large, vigilantes. A job that technically shouldn't be necessary, but has become necessary through their corruption. But this is subjective. It's an issue of conscience, and every person has their own values, has their own morals, has their own conscience. But don't imagine for a second that because you can't hack, that you don't have a method for resisting. All leaders are either assassinated for not cooperating, or they're bribed. The very notion of leadership tends to corrupt people. So we have no leaders. Through attrition, I should be dead many times over now. It is not a game. There is great hope in Anonymous, what it's come to represent. We are a force for change. We are a force for good, because justice transcends. It's not a bullet point. It's a notion of fairness and of right. I hope that before you don this mask, you consider everything that you might lose consider how evil our opponents are and how much danger you'll be facing. And most importantly, consider that this is not some jolly romp. We are not invincible. We are flesh and blood. And we are fallible. There is no perfect security. There is no perfect disguise. So assume that before you go into anything. Assume that and calculate the risk and be prepared to face it. Hopefully that won't be necessary. Hopefully Anonymous will win some global victory long before they catch up to you. I wish you all luck. I think we will win. It's tempting through our education to believe that everything good comes after conflict, that it gets resolved at the point of a rifle. But that's just the military-industrial complex talking, and that includes Hollywood. Just know that there's a victory that can be attained without firing a single shot. If they depend on us to work for them, and their greatest weapon is the money that we need to survive, to buy food, to buy clothing, and to buy shelter, then when we get food, clothing, and shelter for free or for ourselves, then we don't need to buy those things, which means we don't need their money, which means we don't have to work for them. And without us, they are nothing. So we can emancipate ourselves and everyone else by designing a process and sharing that idea freely. Because as soon as you put down roots, as soon as you anchor yourself to a fixed point, they'll know where to find you and they'll try to break it, they'll try to steal it. We will defeat them with information. Just like Anonymous was the idea, this new information will be the revolution. And when we have that revolution and we get that for free and we share that openly and people liberate themselves, then we will have won. It'll spread like a virus. For me, that is my goal. You will wage your revolution the way you see fit, guided by your morals, by your principles. And I wish you health. I wish you luck. And more than that, and in the greatest way, I wish you victory. Because our cause is just. If you're listening to this message, then you are the revolution.